The lesson.
Oh yeah.
So somewhat on that topic, there was a bit of tension, obviously, between LC and Obese. And something that kind of springs to the mind off the back of that is something that happened with 360, where Turntable Jediz release, 360 had a joint on there, Foul Child. And there was some shots that were taken in that song. Tell us a little bit about that particular joint.
The joint itself was for the Turntable Jediz compilation. I can't remember prior or around that period. 360 got put onto me by Adam Kane, who was running Shogun Distribution at the time, and he became a Struts DJ for a period, and he became a good friend of mine for a period. Anyway, he was kind of hyping up 60 in the background, and he sort of said, "Oh, there's this kid, you should check him out, blah, 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 blah." And I was sort of like, okay, yeah, because at that stage we were sort of just looking to expand Uncut a little bit more, just on after Murderous had finished. And yeah, I can't remember where or how we met, but it was like, yeah, kid seemed all right. I heard a couple of his little demos or his little tracks he was making, and it weren't much chop, but he seemed like not a bad kid, and he was super hungry. He had some real basic skills, which I love working with guys and trying to get the best out of them. And I guess I sort of thought, oh well, yeah, let's give this dude a crack and see if we can sort of form him, mold him, and help him go to that next step with his lyrical shit. Now at the same time, because Bevan, who is sort of the head of Turntable Jediz, he was good mates with Adam at the time as well. And he sort of said, oh, well, we'll get 360 on this shit. And I was like, yeah, well, cool. We're sort of looking at him to take him on board and give him a bit of a leg up. So, I'll produce the track. And so that's my beat on there. And I recorded him. And I don't think that track has any digs at anyone in particular. It's just a battle track. But he did do some other shit external to myself that had some shit in it for sure. But yeah, Foul Child, for the record, was completely separate to that. And yeah, that's basically where that's at. So
now the joint that he did that was separate to that one,
yeah,
which is the one that I'm thinking of.
Right.
When you heard that, because he took shots at a bunch of cats, and was LC or dudes from LC some of the cats that received shots on that song?
I don't believe so. I think he did some shit prior to coming on board with us for a bit, but it wasn't. I can't really remember that stuff. But then I reckon he did something kind of as we were sort of parting ways that had to go more predominantly, and he was starting to name names. And I don't think anyone that we were affiliated with, maybe one or two guys, got brought into that, but not LC itself. I can't remember exactly. But I remember half being, not roped into it, but I remember dudes saying, I remember dudes kind of questioning it, that he was kind of doing that and he'd come off the back of sort of working with us, you know what I mean? And, I can honestly say that I was never one to sit there and grab his hand and point a trigger or say, take shots at this dude or that dude. Because the cheap shot rap, basic cat in the hat shit to me was the worst shit he did, you know what I mean? And unfortunately for that dude, I never saw him lyrically elevating like I'd sort of hoped, you know what I mean? And he, at the same time, his song selection, the path that he started to go in was that more singy-songy commercial shit. And so we kind of just parted ways. But I remember when he did that shit afterwards, and some dudes, there was a bit of a backlash on him, he brought our name into it, and his boys brought our name into it as far as having his back, or as far as, you know, I don't remember seeing it, but I remember someone saying to me on some message board shit where he was like, or his boys were like, 360's down with LC, rah, 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 you know what I mean? And it was just like, I got nothing to fucking do with that shit, mate. You know what I mean? Don't bring me into that. You know, we'd already gone like this anyway. So we'd started to, and that was basically the final straw, man. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was kind of a bit of a weird period actually, because, you know, like I said, we were really looking to branch the label out, and you know, 360 was sort of the first kid that we sort of started to look at, and he just never got it, like, at all. He did not understand it whatsoever. He kind of said, you know, I remember when we sort of parted ways, and he was like, he didn't say this to me, but I heard he'd said it to someone else, or I read he'd said something along the lines of, oh, LC wanted to mold me into this, like, you know, gangster rapper, and it was like, it was never, ever that. I can categorically say that. You know, I was trying to build him lyrically. You know, he was a battle rapper, so yep, the battle nature was a massive part of it. My raps are bragging, boasting, battle shit, but to elevate him into, you know, extra wordplay and how to build raps, you know, was what it was all about. It was never about you should do this. Now, I'm not saying that other people weren't saying that to him and giving him that hype, but I can honestly tell you that he got it completely twisted on the way on what my vision was for him anyway. But you know, that's cool. He made his own path, and he made a lot more money off music than I ever did, man. So, you know, whatever. Good luck to the dude. I don't, you know, he's not on my radar, and you know, I don't regret like the time I invested into him when we did Foul Child. He actually rapped on another track that was going to be on Murderous Metaphors. So it was in that period, just preluding Murderous, that we sort of started to do some shit with him, and he just couldn't make the grade, you know, and it was just a case of, man, you're not on it, dude. You're not chopping it. And that was the shit I wanted to work with him. That's cool. Let's keep building, you know what I mean? But he was very impatient, and he had his mindset on where he wanted to go. He wanted to be Eminem one day, and then he wanted to sing the next, and you know, I was just like, well, you're best to go do your own thing, man, you know what I mean? Like, and he did sort of thing, so yeah.
So that joint that, I mean, I heard that it leaked. The joint where he took a shot, you know, at a bunch of cats.
Yeah.
I heard that shit leaked. Obviously, I heard that particularly in ADL, there were references to cats where, you know, they weren't happy. I heard a rumor that he cancelled his Adelaide show because he heard the dudes
were going to stomp him out. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just heard the dudes was going to go there and pull him up on it.
Yeah.
And where I got that information from were from some cats that I was like, I wouldn't want you motherfuckers pulling my card.
No doubt, man.
So I believe that, you know, if he did cancel his Adelaide show, which from memory he did, you know, I believe that it was because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the song?
I wouldn't have a clue, man. The only song I worked on him with was Foul Child, and the track that he was going to be on, which we ended up flipping the Large Pro for real, you know the deal, this is uncut, on another joint. It was a different song he was going to be on. And they're the only two tracks I ever sat in the studio with him and worked on, and that's it. So I don't even think I heard all of the track that he did later, that he started fucking trying to be 50 Cent for a week, or, you know, I didn't. I remember it. I remember the time, but I don't remember it. I don't remember if it had a title. I don't remember where it was going and you know what it was about. I wouldn't have a clue, man. That was definitely once he'd split from us, sort of thing, you know.
I remember, like, when I found out about it, the story that I heard was that, you know, it was recorded a long time ago. And what I heard, it sounded like it was recorded a minute before its time.
Yeah, it could have been, man. Because I know he was, you know, again, he was. I remember when Adam had sort of first put him onto me, and he sent some shit to me, and there was some shit in there that was kind of taking shots at almost everyone, but that was real primitive shit. I don't think that was the stuff that came out later. I think that was a different track. But yeah, it was just kind of, it was whack, man. It was whack. So, you know, if anyone sort of took offense to it, I mean, you know, 360 became what he is now, I suppose. But, you know, if he's, you know, I've heard that he's put out shit that had to go at me since on albums or LC or whatever. It's like, I could not give two fucks, mate.
So you didn't go back and check his catalogue to check?
Nah, man. I'd never listened to a 360 song since. Word is bond. I heard some shit on the radio when I was in a car, somebody else's car or at work. And they said, oh, this is 360 now. And I'm just like, oh my God. But I never checked a track, listened to it, listened to lyrics. You know, that shit sounds fucking woeful. How are you going to listen to that? You know what I mean? Let alone care what the dude's saying, man. I mean, I still remember that dude when he was like a little kid whose dad dropped him off at my house. You know what I mean? And his dad was like kind of weirding out that his little son was coming into the house with grown men to make music, you know what I mean? And it was just like, you know, and if he's actually out there saying that Trem or LC tried to mold him into this gangster rapper or, you know, what a load of shit, mate, you know what I mean? Like, it might have been his perception, I'm not saying he's lying, but it's a load of shit that was the case, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that other people externally to us weren't trying to do that, but I definitely wasn't, you know, he got it completely twisted.
The lesson. 2-7. Oh yeah.